What we've seen so far for landing page is a bit boring. It's not interactive enough because it doesn't really show me the sections until they've completed all of them, which can take quite a bit of time. What I want to do is make it stream so that as soon as I write, let's say Women's History Month and start generating, as soon as any section is ready, it automatically shows. So let's see how we can do that. I'll start off from where we were last time. So I have here generate sections. Again, all it had as a function was that it did the fetch for the completion and read my API key and had 2 messages. This time I'm going to change this code a little bit. And this is the new code here. What I've done here is I've changed it so that it uses the OpenAI stream payload, the same one we used in Twitter, in the Twitter example before. But there's a few things we need to note here. First, I'll make the temperature here 0 so that it becomes very predictable. Again, it's up to you really, or I can go to 0.9 or 1 even to make it less predictable and come up with new creative ideas. Why don't we put it as 1 for now so we can try with that? And that would work, but it would not be parsed correctly because it's now a streaming content. So this streaming content cannot be parsed as JavaScript or JSON object, right? So what I need to do is go back to my code here in index. And if you remember what we had here, we had the idea of generating sections. So we had the description area, which was responsible for generating sections, and then this generating sections.map, which goes through these sections. However, if these were not an array, this would throw an exception. So I need to make sure whatever comes in is an array. So handle generate sections is now needs to change so that it can be streaming, but at the same time without sacrificing that part. And this is what I did here. So I have this new handle generate section stream. Again, it did the check for the prompt, so making sure that my prompt is not empty, and then it went through and fetched api.generate content section stream, the new streaming API. Okay, if response is not okay, then we'll show an error message. Else, I want to get the response body. And I'll start creating a reader and text decoder just like we did with the Twitter bio one. And then while not done, I need to do the actions. Now, there is an important piece here, which is what makes this unique or what makes it work well, which is that generate sections here. You'll see that it now, instead of taking the results, it takes parse JSON results, which is a function that I created that what this function does is it first splits the input string by the last closing bracket, just to make sure that it is a fully complete JSON object. And then for this substring, it puts it within an array, and then it adds that to the JSON array and returns it. So it's now generating this JSON array of different sections ultimately. And I'm passing this to the props.generate section so that whenever any section is ready, it shows it up. I've also set the result here, which is a new thing I've added, which is just a state here, just to show us the result as we're working so that we can debug any issues. So let's try it out. So now I'm going to write Women's History Month and I'll say generate section. You'll see now it starts typing. And it hasn't really created a section yet because it's still typing something that's not complete. As soon as the first piece completes, you'll see it generated that section here, which is now the header section. Now, as soon as the hero section completes, it should do the same thing and add that hero section. And you see as each and every section is ready, it's generating it. So it becomes that more actionable or more reactive experience for the user. So the user can see the different sections here. Now, one thing I have to know as well is that if we were to look back at our stream, we have the maximum tokens as 200. That's far too little for our scenario, so I'll make it 2000. And we'll go again here and generate sections, just so that we generate enough sections for this. So again, it's generating the hero banner, and you'll see it's very interactive now. You can see what's happening as it's happening. I would remove the results afterwards, just because for debugging purpose, it looks nice, but most people will not understand what this JSON object is. So I'd avoid having it here, but you'll see as it's going through them, it's creating already these different snippets or sections here, which makes it much more interactive than having to wait for all this to load before you see anything. So let's just remove the results from here. So I'm going to go back to the description area and comment out the results because I don't want to see it here. And that's perfect. I see here that this has been created. I'll just refresh again and show you the final output. So Women's History Month. And click Generate Sections. And now it's going to not show now the typing, but it should show as soon as each and every section is ready. So this is the here section. As soon as it was ready, it was added here. And then the introduction and so on and so forth. It's going to start adding each and every section, which is much, much better than having to wait for everything. And the same thing applies for your HTML. Now the HTML is already easier to handle just because the HTML itself was already generated each piece on its own. However, if you want to generate it all at once and then stream it in the same concept, you can do so as well. You just need a regular expression to handle HTML rather than JavaScript and JSON. Okay, thank you for watching.